The only thing I pray for now is that somebody tells the children what happened. Because they got to tell their own. You don't pass it on, people forget.
On the next Soul Lounge Primetime.
The Women of American Slavery Project are back to talk about Black Women in the Ballot, 3 short radio dramas to be performed live on Juneteenth with special guest Phylicia Rashad. You can find us every Monday evening at 7 p.m. on WHCR 90.3 FM.
The voice of Harlem.
Okay, Soul Lounge Primetime.
My man, Night Watchman, where you been, man?
Just staying low.
You know,
track of things.
I don't want you to get a big head, but you know, I actually do miss seeing you in person.
Well, we did connect for one fine day in the park. And it was great.
Actually, that's right. We did add social distance. We did maintain
social distancing, but we didn't have social distancing from the adult beverages that we brought with us.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. So go ahead.
We got a great show.
We do. Hold on. You're not telling me that we may actually have some returning guests. Now, you're not going to tell me that.
Our favorites, American Slavery Project is back.
Oh my God! Yes. Right.
So
okay.
Welcome.
I'm amped.
Judy Tate.
That woman, Judy. Yay!
Hey. How are you?
Messeret, Stroman-Wheeler.
Messeret, yes.
And Lynette, Freeman.
Lynette.
Whoa,
Now, Lynette, you are a newbie to this returning crew over here, but you are in good hands. Trust me, okay? Yes.
So
you are.
If you've been living under a cultural rock for the last couple of years, maybe you don't know about American Slavery Project, but we're going to tell you. They've been doing great work in terms of plays around the issue of slavery, but not the kind we've been used to having. So they really tell the side of slavery that hasn't been told. And in particular, they started work last year on something, Blacks in the Ballot, which is the untold story of Black women and women's suffrage movement. Mm-hmm. And so Judy, Messeret, Lynette, can you tell us a little bit more about where you've taken this year and what's coming up on Juneteenth?
Yeah. Let me just for like you said, for people who don't know who we are, we the American Slavery Project was created as a theatrical response. So in that way, we're a theater company, not quite. We're a combination between theater and activism. So we respond to the conversation in America around enslavement and its aftermath, because people think, 1865 slavery was over. No, it wasn't. It evolved. It evolved into Jim Crow. It evolved into, question of people voting. And so we deal with all of those eras. And so Black Women and the Ballot are 3 short radio plays that we are going to be streaming on Juneteenth and June 19th. And they're about the small and large rebellions that Black women mounted to progress enfranchisement for Black people in this country, especially Black women. And so I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but just tell you what the plays are. Lynette is wonderful in a monologue play called Don't Dream by a wonderful writer named Saviana Stanescu, who went to the National Theater the same time the play that I wrote went to the National Theater. And, we center African-American playwrights in our project. And so Saviana is the first writer that hasn't been African-American, but she survived the Romanian Revolution. So, so she's a sister in arms, And she actually told me that what's going on today with, the revolution we're having right now in the streets reminds her very, very much of what they were going through, the people being out in the street and demanding for the country to do better. And so she's written this play about an undocumented Caribbean housekeeper, disenfranchised, of course. And this is what everybody's calling now an essential worker, right? So we really look at these disenfranchised, undocumented people who give so much service to this country. And so she's really putting a frame around that. And I'm going to let Lynette talk to you about that. And the two plays I wrote, one is In the Parlor, which Messeret Stroman-Wheeler is playing Mary Church Terrell, debating Alice Paul, the brilliant, white suffragette, did not want Black women to march, 1913 First Women's March. And then the second play that I wrote, Pulling the Lever, is about 3 generations of women remembering their most vivid experience voting. And the oldest generation, the ancestor, recounts the Children's March of Birmingham, Alabama, when the children went out to advocate for their parents being able to vote. And I don't know if you remember, but they were hosed. They were attack dogs were set on them, and we tell that story in Pulling the Lever. And for your listening pleasure, for there are visuals for your eye to rest on, and we have some of those famous pictures actually from the Children's March that you'll be able to see while you're listening to the radio play.
Wow!
Yeah.
Well, Lynette, do tell us.
Well, with Don't Dream, it's really looking at, people who we see but don't see. How many times in New York City have you gone by a park during the day and you see mostly, it's a lot of usually Caribbean or African American women taking care of and nannying kids. I personally was a babysitter for several different families before, and it was really also very interesting, just to like go to the park and just like see all of these women. And half of my family is Caribbean, is from Jamaica, and so it's just really interesting, particularly when you are dealing with largely unregulated, kind of conditions when you're looking at, women working as nannies and au pairs and things like that. There is no regulating anything, and so it's just like, basically it's like it's more than just the children. It's like you are a housekeeper. You are I don't know, just like so many different things. I remember at one point, one thing that I draw from is at one point I did interview with a family and I was nannying with them. They had a couple of different nannies, but I was like, yeah, I'm only here to babysit. I will pick up, be with the kids. You come home, I'm gone. But it was interesting because it's just like, they were like, well, okay, so do you do housekeeping and stuff? I was like, nope, that's not what I do. And
in the monologue.
Oh yeah, the monologue actually deals with that very much, going from following the day of this woman that starts before dawn and ends in the middle of the night. Ends after midnight. Like, she goes to bed at 2 a.m. and wakes up at 5. And
they said it was over, right?
And Lynette, does she have children of her own?
I think that my own backstory that's not actually supported by the text. Would be probably yes. What's interesting is, at one point in Jamaica and the Caribbean, in I want to say late 60s, mid 70s, there was a huge there was like basically a bill signed that got a lot of Caribbean women to become workers in Canada and in the United States. Many times, these were women who would have to leave their families.
Wow.
And if they would stay here in the United States or stay in Canada, then they would end up being able to give their families like citizenship a little bit easier. But that would mean being away from your children for a good 5 years.
Wow.
And that created a big rift in many different families, and also many women ended up starting new families here in the States. So it's just like looking at that across the board for women who are working in others' homes and things like that, having to leave their families. And especially even now, if you look at COVID, I think it's really interesting, even looking at, certain like celebrities videos, and then you see the random person in the background and you're like, who is that? I thought we were supposed to be socially oh, that's your nanny. Got it. Like they're having to put themselves into harm's way, even though nobody is leaving the house.
Wow. So Night Watchman, have we seen this before? This type of story coming from our domestics all throughout centuries?
Not that I've seen it. That's why we check out American Slavery Project, because they give us the things we've never seen before. Now, I understand that you guys have also brought in a high-profile guest artist for this.
Yes, that's thanks to Miss Messeret Stroman-Wheeler. You want to talk about that, Mess?
Well, for our Pulling the Lever, which is so beautifully written by our talented and wonderful Judy Tate, we have 3 generations of Black women speaking about their experience voting. And so we needed an elder. And Judy and I were speaking, and I thought, well, gosh, Phylicia would be great. What do you think? And she said, yes. I said, well, let me put out a call to her. And backstory, Phylicia and I worked together 20 years ago doing a show called Blue at Arena Stage and Roundabout Company. So we spent a good deal of time together, because at Arena, we were there for, I think, 4 months. And then at Roundabout, I think it was 5 months. And it would have been ongoing because it was the highest grossing show that they had. But 9/11 happened, and it stopped everything that was in consideration. HBO was looking at it, that kind of thing. At any rate. So I put a call out to her, and she said she would love to do it. So I called Judy. And immediately we continued and said, okay, this is what's going to happen. Started putting things in place. And anybody who knows us know we're hardworking women. We have been working, and we're in constant contact with each other pretty much all day, getting this done. And at any rate, she agreed to do it. And she has this line that we feel like really kind of speaks to the show, everything about the show. I'm just gonna.
The only thing I pray for now is that somebody tells the children what happened, because they gotta tell their own. You don't pass it on, people forget.
Wow.
And that is in Pulling the Lever that Judy's written. So that really kind of, we feel like it speaks to every piece, every one of these pieces. Don't Dream, In the Parlor, and Pulling the Lever. We in these stories tell our history so that young people, well, not even just young people, but everybody knows, but especially young people, so they won't repeat the past, the horrors of the past.
Yep.
Great. Well, so I'm excited. I can't wait till Juneteenth. Tell us about the challenges of putting this thing together during a pandemic.
Oh my. Well, the challenges are that you're not in the same room. and and as well as because you had to find platforms to still do your radio show and not be
Right.
in the same room and
True.
still have the energy going. And people think streaming is easy. It's not necessarily easy, because everybody's got different platforms. Some of you know what I didn't tell you guys? We have 10 partners for this. This is a effort that goes far beyond just the American Slavery Project. We have other Black theaters that have partnered with us. Okay, so Messeret, if I forget anybody, we have got Civic Ensemble, Conch Shell Productions, Heartbeat Theater in Hartford, Connecticut, Ensemble Studio Theater in New York, Liberation Theater Company, Manhattan Theater Club decided to partner with us just like last night. I got it like 1 o'clock in the morning. They said, we've been so busy, but we would love to, say that we're a partner with you in this. Did I forget people? Harlem Stage, Classic Theater of Harlem. I think I got everybody.
Wow.
Tony Howell. We have 10 partners doing and our biggest partner, last but not least, actually biggest, but Crossroads Theater Company, where I started my career, believe it or not, and running through our job. And so part of the story of this is what we do and how this is really important. The other part of the story is that this is a national effort in a campaign to get people to vote. And we call it our voter outreach through theater engagement. And voter outreach through theater engagement. And we are just really, really dedicated to helping people understand, why people should get out to vote. And I know it seems really difficult to think about a vote right now. People are in the street, they're so angry, but you've got to take that anger and that wanting to do something and channel it. And one of the best ways to do that right now is to vote. Vote the people out that you don't like, vote the people in. We have all of our actors at the end of our show asking people to vote and saying why. And Lynette has a beautiful one. You talked about the local level, didn't you, Lynette?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've often talked about with many of my friends, many of whom are activists and organizers, is the fact that it's not even just the presidential. I feel like the presidential primaries and everything like that. I mean, there's much I could say about that. But one of the things is also on many of the ballots, particularly for the primaries, are people for the state and local level, councilmen and governors and people who actually will talk on like a greater level and who are actually deciding a lot of these things for these municipal, for instance, police forces, and deciding on budgets on the municipal level, because it's not just the presidential, because we're state by state and municipality by municipality. We have to know what's happening in our municipalities. And also many times you're going to be getting like bills and vote no on 2, vote no on 6, vote yes on 35, or, all these different things having to do with budgets towards schools, towards where money is being allocated. And so with that, it's essential that we get out and vote. And actually, it's not even just voting. A lot of my friends who are organizers and activists and whatnot, it's just like understanding that we all have a role to play. We can hit it also in the streets, and we can hit it in the voting booth, and we can hit it in, just grassroots organizing. It doesn't all have to be centralized into one thing and one initiative. So, and many people are kind of counting on people not voting, not showing up to vote, and being disenfranchised, and coming up with all these different ways and hurdles to not vote. So I think that, the more that we can put pressure on multiple fronts, the better.
Ladies, I'm going to ask, this pandemic that we're experiencing, and of course with the murder of George Floyd, what has it revealed to you?
I think it's revealed the true nature of the country in which we live. People have said, "Oh no, that doesn't exist anymore. It's just a few bad apples." Well, I want to remind you that the actual saying, "a few bad apples," the real quote is, "It only takes a few bad apples to spoil the whole bunch." The Michael Jackson song was not the actual quote. And I think the meaning of that is, if we tolerate the kind of police action, if we tolerate the kind of racism that has been shown over and over and over again, the entire fabric of our country is destroyed. And I think we're on a quick, unraveling right now. But I think that can be a good thing. Somebody said, Black people being killed by police isn't new. It is photographed now. It is on your, it's taped. But we've been knowing that, this exists for a really long time. It reminds me of that woman in Congress who tried to shut up Aunt Maxine. And she said, you want me to be quiet, as if that's going to make racism go away. And that's what a lot of people actually think, certain people. They think, oh, well, if you just stop talking about it, it wouldn't be so bad. And I've heard that my entire life. Just stop talking about it. Well, no, we are not crawling under a rock. The racists out there, they can go crawl back under their rock, but we're not, Ooh, did I get to...
No.
That's what we do here.
Good, because I am done. But I think this is a gigantic opportunity. And, we had all of these Black theaters that jumped on this partnership with us. And then Lynette and I belong to another theater that, is Ensemble Studio Theater, and so does Saviana. And I was talking to them, and he said, we'd like to partner with you because 3 of the people involved in this project are also members of Ensemble Studio Theater. And, Messeret and I said, yeah, let's bring on some allies. They have been a big supporter of American Slavery Project, giving us space, to do our work, supporting us when we've done Unheard Voices. And so we brought them on, and I'm really, I work in the education program for Manhattan Theater Club, and they've got a theater company within the theater company that works with justice-involved young men. So, they're all Black and brown. And so I went to them and I said, would you like to partner with us, to do this? And they said, yes, we would like that. So, it's whoops. Messing up my mise en scene here. So a few theater companies have said, yeah, we want to be allies with you in this. And of course, our, Black theater compatriots were just like, chomping at the bit. And I think that one of the things that will come out of this culturally, because that's really where I can speak. I'm not a politico, but culturally speaking, I think that there is a need. That's why we were created in the first place, because there were all these plays about, this era, and no Black voices were being heard, and so, as a response to that, I created American Slavery Project. So I think that there's another generation of cultural response, and people are calling for it.
Well, we appreciate you all, cultural warriors, First Amendment warriors, really giving out a message that is incredibly timely, probably more timely than you knew when you started to work on this. So,
Yeah.
Messeret, could you just give us all the particulars of the June 19th? I'm going to go on mute because I've got sirens in the background.
Are you safe, Night Watchman?
I am safe.
They coming for you?
Yeah.
So we will be presenting Black Women in the Ballot, 3 short radio dramas with visuals that highlight large and small rebellions that Black women mounted to progress the voting rights. It will be on Friday, June 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will be on our new YouTube channel. You can go to our Instagram page or our Facebook page or Twitter page, or even our website, which is www.americanslaveryproject.org, and find the link to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah, so that's growing.
And we'll have the link. Yeah, if you at 7:30 you go, oh, that show I wanted to see, you can just go to our website, and we'll have a button there, and you'll be able to watch it.
Wow. So you know what? One of the things that you brought up, and I think this was you, Messeret, in terms of the Children's March with the hoses and the dogs and all that stuff, and literally that was, at least they say that was one of the things that compelled white folk to say, oh my God, it's really serious. You know what? They shouldn't be doing this, and thus helping to shepherd along, let's say, the Civil Rights Act of 64 or the Voting Rights Act of 65. Now, literally, everyone has a camera on their phone, and Lord knows we've been saying for eons that the police are abusive to Black folk. But now you see the visual, and now you see the response of the visual because of the horrific way George Floyd was killed. Will this have a long-term impact with this particular movement, especially noting when you see the pictures of folk who are marching are young, a multi-racial, multi-ethnic coalition of folk? Will that be sustainable going forward? Anybody take it?
No.
I think that the thing is now that it's a movement not just about getting accountability. It's on multiple levels, looking at the Qualified Immunity Act, which shields police officers and officials and basically disallows private citizens to sue because of things like that. So that is coming into the vocabulary and also being fought by just people, and people are much more aware, and also that there's much more of a push for defunding. You're hearing a lot more about defunding, de-investment in the police force, because it's just like what people are realizing is that the system is actually working the way that it was supposed to work. And that's the hard part. That people are like looking at this historically and how this has been year after year after year. This is not the first time. And Breonna Taylor and Tony McDade, and it happens almost every day. So a lot of people are now not only just talking, okay, let's get them to be accountable. They're looking at the entire system and are like, defund it, abolish it, figure out something else that is much more holistic, that actually has to do with connecting with actual communities, speaking to communities, asking them what they need, putting a lot of that funding back into education, because it's like, then you look at the fact that people debate the defunding and the de-investment, but people are realizing like they've been defunding education for years. So like, it's possible to demilitarize and like move more towards a holistic and more pointed, not just assistance, but like the way that things kind of should be, where our priorities are, not less in militarizing, making the police force a military branch, but more in, you know, looking at actual people, how, like looking at COVID, that made things very, you know, clear that this is disproportionately affecting certain populations than others, that folks don't have money, but yet and still budgets for police forces are still the same, if not rising more. So wondering, like, what that is. It's just like, you don't have money to really, you know, address this issue. And, you know, our healthcare workers are reusing masks and things like that. But yet and still the budget remains the same over here. It's priority.
Right.
And you know, and those priorities, right, Lynette, have never changed. I mean, you know, the police as we know them today are an evolution of slave patrol. I'm a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
Like, And I think that, you know, Americans need to realize that, you know, what was going on at the founding of this country and the need to police the black body with these slave patrols has evolved our current policing system. And, you know, the Second Amendment, this, you know, a well-regulated militia, those militias were there to police black slaves who would not be slaves. That, you know, and so, you know, this whole Second Amendment, every time, you know, my Second Amendment rights, I just see slave patrols. You know, I see militias. I've written about it, you know, in other plays. I see militias out to police black bodies, you know, and I think that this is, like Lynette was saying, a unique conversation today about reimagining what policing is and should be in this country. It really completely needs to be reimagined.
Well, I love you too. Oh, I'm sorry, Night Watchman. I just want to say I love you too in that you didn't stop at the word defunding. Apparently, as you know, the right has now hijacked that to me. Just get rid of the police. And that's not what is being said if you really read between the lines. So I thank you guys for clearing that up. Night Watchman, go.
Well, we've got to wrap this up. I want
No!
to thank our guests, Judy Tate, Lynette,
we love
Freeman, Messeret, Stroman-Wheeler. Thank you, Phylicia Rashad, for dropping in.
Yes.
By audio. We love you. Remember, June 19th, Juneteenth, Blacks in the Ballot.
Black women.
3 radio plays. You can find out more at AmericanSlaveryProject.org. They're on every social media platform, I guarantee it. And also, happy birthday, DJ Leroy.
Oh, thank you. Very good, Night Watchman. You dropped that in there. I have one little sidebar question, please, Night Watchman. Indulge me on this. So
I'm the one who has to do the editing. So.
Understood. Well, here it is. It's a quick one. So we certainly do know that black sororities involved in it very, very early in terms of suffrage. Is there any indication of black fraternities like the Alphas or the Kappas? No. Always women leading the way.
Messeret, this is your territory. You should unmute yourself and talk about those sororities.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure about the fraternities, but the sororities were surely a part of it. I mean, one of the things I think with all of the sororities, their job or purpose is really to take care of service to the community. So we have AKAs and Deltas that are part of. You'll see their roles in Judy's in the parlor or here and see their roles because there were 20 members that were AKA and they wanted to be a part of the Women's March in 1913. And the AKAs did not want to be a part of that. These young women decided, well, we want to. Mary Church Terrell helped them to form their own organization, which became the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And so I won't go any more into that, but the sororities definitely were a part of it. And Nellie Quander from the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated played a role in that as well. And you'll hear it on June 19th at 7:30 p.m. on our YouTube channel.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Night
you guys
Watchman.
for having us.
Okay.
Absolutely. You know you guys are our favorite. You know this already.
We love coming on this show. You guys are so much fun. That's what Messeret and I say. You know, it's like people see American Slavery Project and go, okay. So we have a lot of fun.
We
And,
do.
you know,
Yes.
and
Because
you know,
remember, Judy, slavery is a fun topic. You know this.
Oh, yeah.
you know, we have to, but you know what? Maintaining your joy throughout the fight is its own kind of activism. It is its own, you know, statement. You are not going to take the joy out of me. You're not going to take the love out of me. You know, we survived all of that. You know, these kids, you know, our white allies are out there marching and everything, and we're like, oh, slow down, honey. This is a long struggle.
It's a marathon.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. You know.
I hear you. God bless them. God bless them.
Ooh, my feet are tired. Wow.
Oh yeah. Wait, you know, what about those people who walked instead of taking the bus for 380 some days?
Yes.
Their feet were tired. Right?
So like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, Soul Lounge Primetime, and we'll be back next week.
We are out of here.
Thank you.